record to this.
You're recording now.
Okay, fantastic. We are here. Okay, well, hello everyone, and welcome to Intersectionality Awareness Week 2026. We are here for the second year running. We are very excited about hosting another panel and having great speakers to which we will introduce you to shortly. Just so you know, we are pre-recording this session, and this panel will be available to everyone from Wednesday, 13th of May. I am Daniele, and my pronouns are he, him. I am the co-founder of Power Pride, and today I am co-hosting this event with Miss Kimberly. Hello, Kim.
Hello there.
This is the first time that we co-host something together, so I'm very excited about it.
Is, and I'm very excited about it as well. And I'm even more excited about our guest today.
Yeah, absolutely. And before we move to the introductions, I want to remind everyone that today's event is called Still Here, Still Proud, and we'll be talking about the realities of LGBTQ plus people, LGBTQ plus older people navigating through intersectionality, visibility, and belonging. We bring together voices across generations of LGBTQ plus activism to reflect on what it means to age with dignity. So the panel will explore how intersectionality shapes the experiences of older LGBTQ plus people today. Some of the key themes that we will be discussing will go around identities across a lifespan, rights and recognition, isolation, and community. So before handing over to Ms. Kimberly, who will introduce you to the panel, I wanted to give a brief introduction about Intersectionality Awareness Week. It is an annual campaign that's been created by Power Pride. It's designed to help people reflect and learn and have an open conversation about intersectionality, which is also known as intersectional theory, a term that has been developed by Professor Kimberly Crenshaw, who is an American civil rights advocate and scholar of critical race theory. Intersectionality is associated with how people experience overlapping forms of discrimination or disadvantage based on their attributes, such as their ethnicity or their race or their socioeconomic background or status, their gender identity, the disability, and so on, and how those attributes relate to the systems of oppression in society. For instance, a disabled person may have barriers because, well, society isn't always built to accommodate the needs of disabled people. Also, a person of color may experience discrimination, racism, or disadvantages in life. And LGBTQ plus person may also come across homophobia or transphobia or hate crime because of their orientation or gender identity. And so if you experience multiple discriminations at once, then they can interact in ways that can make life more difficult, being subject to vulnerabilities and disadvantages, and especially to how those are related to the systems of oppression and domination. However, those are identities that make us who we are, and we don't get to choose them. We want to be proud and we want to embrace our differences. And at the same time, we want to be treated fairly. So that's what Intersectionality Awareness Week is about, creating a space where we can share our experiences and celebrate diversity and promote understanding, empowerment, and unity. So throughout the week, we host a range of different events, and we focus on different marginalized communities that are impacted by the lack of inclusion in society. And today is no exception. And so we are very excited about hearing the experiences from and the expertise of our speakers, who I really, we are so lucky to have panelists like the ones that we have today. So on that note, I will hand over to Ms. Kimberly, who will introduce our panels and who will start the discussion. So Kim.
Hello, and thank you, Daniele. For those of you who Oh no, my name is Miss Kimberly, and I am the ambassador of Para Pride. I'm really excited about today. I have a long history of advocating for the elderly. Um, I have a dog named Lula, and my dog is actually named after my great grandmother, Lula Shaw, who was my best friend when I was growing up. Um, I got this idea last year because I advocate for the elderly to even come back to Pride as well. I run my trans-led stage, but I have a VIP behind the stage where the disabled community and the elderly community can come and feel comfortable. But last year I had a conversation with a friend here in Pimlico, where I live. She is known as Auntie Val, and speaking to her about what the older generation goes through helped me decide that I need to really do all I can to help more the elderly generation. As LGBT people grow older, many face layered challenges shaped not only by sexuality and gender identity, but also by race, disability, class, and health. Experiences aging are rarely singular. For some, later life can bring isolation, invisibility, or barriers to care systems that are not designed with LGBT plus lives in mind. For others, it's a time of resilience, legacy, and continued resistance. Now, I would like to take the time to introduce our guest, and I will start with Crissie from Women of Color and Global Women Strike. Welcome, and thank you so much for being here, Crissie.
Thank you very much, Kim.
Nice to see you again.
Yeah, bit of a chance meeting as to how I've ended up here. So,
and I'm going to have you on my
you.
stage as well this year.
Wow, honored. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you.
I'll do it very briefly. I'm 75 years old. I'm the mixed race daughter of a German mother and a Nigerian father who came over to the UK as immigrants to help build Britain after World War II. I'm a survivor of child abuse, and I've had a history of campaigning with women in the UK against racism, sexism, across different races and nationalities. I've been in a lesbian partnership since 1985, helping to raise my partner's 3 daughters, and I'm now a co-granny of 4. I helped found an organisation called Black Women's Rape Action Project, which is now merged with Women Against Rape, and I'm been campaigning for the rights of women seeking asylum from rape and other torture since the mid-90s. So there's a lot to the what you're calling the intersectionality of all the organising that we've been doing. And I'm also a member of Queer Strike. And many of the organisations that I'm in had a different name back in the 80s. We changed our names in the year 2000 to kind of update ourselves. But that's who we are. And I'd just like to flag up the fact that we've always campaigned for wages for housework, which we now call the care income, which is independent money that we want as women, but also as for all carers who are taking care of people in the planet. And we believe that that is a very winnable demand, and that if we did really win that, we would absolutely transform the way the planet is. We would change it from one which is killing to a planet that invests in caring and sees the value of women and other carers in a way that we should always have been seen, and in a way which I think a lot of people are fighting for. Thank you.
Thank you so much for that. Thank you. You're doing some incredible work. Thank you so much. And now I would like to introduce who I'm very happy to have today, is Mr. Ted Brown from the Gay Liberation Front UK. Hello, Ted.
Hello.
How are you?
I'm fine, yes.
Good. It's so nice to have you here. Thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you very much. Thank you. Yes, I am now 76.
Mhm,
I'm the son of Jamaican parents who divorced some years ago. I
mm,
came out when I was about 17 in my local area in Eltham, where I was in school. And I stumbled through a magazine called Oz Magazine about the meetings, the first meetings of the Gay Liberation Front that were being
mm,
held at the LSE. Um, I remember going to the LSE, trying to find these meetings because
mm,
there weren't many details in the article that I read. And I
mm.
found myself in the situation of asking students on the way, where are the homosexuals meeting? And I managed to find myself in a room with a glass door where a number of people were assembled, and there was one speaker. I think you may have heard his name, a guy called Warren Haig, who is, I believe, a Canadian, speaking very volubly about various issues. I couldn't hear what he was saying, but I was extremely impressed. But unfortunately, I didn't actually go in on that occasion because I
Mm,
wasn't a student at the LSE and I wasn't sure if I was entitled
Huh?
and whether being gay was enough for me to go in. But I did manage to go sometime later, and
mm,
I spoke with Bob Millers and Aubrey Walters, who were two students at the LSE who
mm.
happened to be in New York at the time of the Stonewall Uprising, which I believe was
Okay.
on the 29th of April, was it? No.
Okay.
Oh, June. Oh, this is
June, I
what
think.
comes with getting
Sure.
old.
Yeah.
Um, uh, I should remember that date. It's just escaped me. Anyway, yes,
It was when
and
Julie Garland passed, was it?
yeah, yes, and so these two students um, met with the Black Panthers. Huey Newton
Mm,
of the Panthers
wow.
helped to support, and these students, after attending the uprising, the Stonewall uprising, which people now call a riot, which I think is a
Uh-huh.
demeaning title for one of the greatest social changes of all time.
Uh-huh.
Um, and they attended um, the Black Panthers meeting in Philadelphia
Oh,
and learned from the Black Panthers some of the street tactics and
wow.
policing tactics, street tactics that were very effective in challenging the oppression
Right.
that we as Black people and as
Yeah.
LGBT people have
Yes.
suffered, and came back to Britain and
Right.
formed the Gay Liberation Front.
I had no idea that Huey Newton was involved with that. I had
Yeah,
no idea. So
yeah,
thank
if
you
you
for.
look online, there are statements from him
I do know he
saying,
supported the LGBT community, but I didn't know that he actually went even further. I knew he supported the disabled community, but I didn't realize that he actually was in conversations and helping to guide the LGBT community. I didn't know that. So thank you for that information. Thank you
yes,
so much for that. That's really good to learn. Thank you.
right.
And now I'd like to introduce our last contestant who I not contestant, that's not a game show, but our last guest. Oh my God, who I have the pleasure to see at many events. We just did Lesbian Visibility Week this week. I saw her at the Diva Awards. I saw her at the event at the bank as well, the stock exchange. That's where I saw you, and I see you at various other places as well. And that is Miss Sue Saunders from the LGBT History Month UK and School Out. Hello, and thank you for being a part of this today.
Well, bless you, Kimberly. And may I give you my heartfelt congratulations for getting your Lifetime Achievement Award at the Diva Awards. It was wonderful to see, and
Thank you
much
so much.
deserved.
Thank you
Much
so
deserved.
much. I appreciate that.
Well, it was very moving. I thought it was very splendid.
Thank you.
Well, I will be 80 next year, so I appear to be the oldest amongst us, which I find somewhat shocking. Age has sort of crept up on me unawares. If I look back on where my journey, it's been a long one, obviously. One of my favorite sayings is that I was at a drama school in London in the 60s and I was the only lesbian that I was aware of. Nobody else was out, nobody other LGBT. Swinging 60s, for whom? Clearly not for the LGBT people. But I suppose my main passion, and probably the reason I'm here, is that I have been supporting the organization called Schools Out for many years, which has worked tirelessly to give resources to schools and education to visibilize, and the word I've coined, usualize LGBT people in all their diversity. And it's something that I've been passionate about from the very beginning. When we started all this work, back in the late 70s, early 80s, we didn't have the word intersectionality. So what I did was I put up a list and said LGBT people are, and then said black, white, old, young, disabled, able-bodied, etc., and did the whole list. And if I forgot somebody could come up and say, well, what about me? So we could add them. So that was my attempt to try and get people to recognize the massive diversity of us as a community. Because back in the day, in the 70s and 80s and even the 90s, really, if you said gay, it was always a white gay man. And then you had to start saying, well, no, there's more than that. And then now we have LGBTQIA, and really I think the youngsters have done a wonderful job in actually getting us to think about the full diversity of our community. We had 15 years of Section 28, which no doubt we'll talk about it in a minute. And then Paul Patrick and I have been working throughout those 15 years to make us visible. It went with a whimper, so we started LGBT Plus History Month, which is every February. We throw a big launch every November, telling people what the theme is. This year, it is science and innovation, and this is the badge. Oh, I'll get there in the end. It's that side.
Other side.
So go on the website, buy yourself a badge, and it's become a thing now. It's wonderful that everybody sort of utilizes it. When we started LGBT History Month, there wasn't Pride Month. So we've been sort of somewhat overtaken by Pride Month. That's sort of come over from the States. So it's become a bigger thing. But back in the day, we didn't have Pride Month. It was just LGBT History Month. So yeah, it's great to be here. And I feel very honored to be with Crissie and Ted and Daniela and Michelle, who's doing a brilliant job. Thank you so much.
You know, I didn't know that about LGBT History Month. You know, this is why I really another reason why I wanted to do this, because there's so much to learn from the generation before us. Today's conversation centers on something we don't talk about enough: what it means to grow older within the LGBT communities, and how that experience is shaped by overlapping identities like race, disability, gender, and class. While there has been progress in LGBT plus rights, not everyone has benefited equally. Many older LGBT people came of age in a time of criminalization, stigma, and exclusion. These histories don't simply disappear, they shape access to care, trust, and intuitions and feeling of belonging today. This panel is about making space for those realities. It's about recognizing resilience, community, and the knowledge held by those who have been part of the struggle for decades. Okay, I would like to ask my first question to Crissie, please. Crissie, looking back, what has changed and what hasn't when it comes to feeling visible and valued in society?
Oh, that's a massive question. On the one hand,
I can break it down if you like.
yep.
Looking back, what has changed and what hasn't changed?
Okay, so what has changed, I think, is our visibility. I mean, I think Sue hit the nail on the head when, you know, back in the day, I think a lot of people were afraid to come out as to, you know, as gay.
Right.
I mean, if you were black and gay, you know, you were going to catch fire on both sides. So
Right. Yes,
there was a lot of reasons why we were not necessarily visible.
Mm-hmm.
But I think the seeds of the seeds, if you like, of the kind of actions and campaigning that was done in the 60s, 70s, and 80s has paid dividend now. But, you know, we some of us paid a high price for that. And I think it's important that the young people do learn the history of the kind of struggles that we went through.
Yes, I
So,
agree
for
with you.
example, yeah, for
I agree
example,
100%.
yeah,
Mm-hmm.
you know, like, but Black Women for Wages for Housework, which now we call ourselves Women of Color in the Global Women's Strike, was founded by a Black lesbian woman, a Black Panther. She was ex-Black Panther and a welfare rights activist.
And that was here in the UK.
No, in the US.
In the US, okay.
We're international, and you know, I can say more about that later. But it was founded in the US, but they came to Britain looking for. They came to try and find Selma James, who had written Sex, Race, and Class.
Yeah.
Right.
And they wanted to. They actually thought she was going to be a Black woman, but Selma turns out to be an extraordinary woman, an activist from the obviously the widow of CLR James, and has been a point of reference for pretty much all of the organizations that exist to this day, but started back in the 70s. So we're celebrating 50 years. Therefore, that means we have 50 years of activism in every which way you can imagine it, from videotapes of every of the actions we filmed, to documents, to things that we put out, to posters, and some of that is now being housed in the Bishopsgate Library. Wages for Housework campaigns archives are there. The English Collective of Prostitutes archives are there. Wages to Lesbians archives will be there soon, and so will ours as Women of Colour. But you know, that history is there to present to the kids, and also for us to learn what we did from our history, what we achieved. Because, we suffered, you know, we faced a lot. We faced a lot of prejudices in many different forms, but we won a lot too. We have, I know it took to 2023, but we did get rid of Section 28. You know, there were various things that we, you know, it's now much easier to be a lesbian mother and not have to worry quite so much, although it can happen, that you are going to have your children taken away from you by the state. You know, so there are things that we have come a long way to win, but there's much more to do. I mean, I can't bear the fact that, and I can't talk about the life of how things are better when we're dealing with, you know, the genocide against Palestinian people, like, you know, our sisters and brothers and children. They're our children, they're our people being slaughtered. You know, and you feel like it should be, I mean, it is that there is a massive outpouring of support against that repression. But you feel that there are pockets of our movements that should be more visibly out there, you know, supporting, trying to end that, and to end all wars. I mean, we've always been anti-war. We've always spend blowing and killing people up to come to us in the community, because we'll do something better with it. So we'll make sure life perpetuates. So all of the things come together. We've won some stuff, and we've still got a lot more to do, is the way I would view the way where we're at now, with an international movement that if it
Right.
comes together, we'll do it.
Oh, great. Thank you so much for that. Thank you. And I'm going to ask the same question to Sue, but I will read the question again.
That's fine, darling.
Yeah,
I've got it.
okay.
Don't worry. Yeah. I think the big changes for me is when you look at schools, education, obviously it's a biggie for me. When I was out and proud as a teacher in the 70s, late 60s and 70s, I was very much on my own. And then Section 20K came on, and then anybody who was, a lot of people who had been out went back into the closet unnecessarily, as it happens, because the law didn't actually affect us properly. And for those of us who were out and proud, the entire 15 years never got prosecuted.
Oh,
But
that's
if
good
you
to
look
hear.
now at what's happening in schools, phenomenal difference, partially because unions have woken up and recognized that they need to fight for LGBT rights. They also need to fight for Black rights, for women's rights. The unions have been slow to catch up on all that, but they are there now. And I think,
Okay.
it's great that we get a support from our unions. And I think that's a big, big change. We didn't have that back in the day. To have our
Okay.
unions supporting us and talking about LGBT rights is a crucial one. And I think the other thing is that where the big difference, I think, is the attack on trans people now. The visibility of trans people has meant that we've got a massive backlash now, which we have to change.
Yeah, yeah.
Sadly, I think we've got a government at the moment that is not awake to our rights. And in a sense, that isn't a surprise to me, because back when Section 28 came in, the Labour Party were very, very slow to wake up to the ramifications of it and support us. And it breaks my heart to see where we are now with the so-called the gayest parliament in the world.
Yeah.
And I keep saying to them, well, if you're the gayest parliament in the world, why aren't you doing more?
Yeah.
And I think that's the biggie. I think as far as visibility is concerned, what is exciting is that we are seeing much more diversity out and proud. I mean, to see I think you and I, as you were saying, Kim, we've been around all the Lesbian Visibility Week.
Yeah.
And it's been a joy to me to see so many more Black and people of color there.
Yes.
Which was not there, even 10 years ago. So I think there's a big difference. And also the variety of presentations of people who are a part of the community now is profoundly different, which is a joy to see. So, it's that I think that visibility now is costing us. That's why we've got the backlash that we have. But I think, we have as a community embraced our diversity much more effectively.
And I just was wondering, I just want to ask you a quick question as well. You mentioned that unions have now gotten involved with the schools. And just for the people who are watching, could you tell us what unions,
Well, I'm a member of the
unions?
National Education Union.
Okay.
And back in the day when we were fighting to get them to be aware of us, they were very resistant to even registering LGBT plus teachers. Now we have over 20,000 LGBT teachers that are out and proud in the union.
And
the NEU is a union that's been doing great work. So is the NASWWT, and so is the ACL. So our teachers' unions have woken up to the need. But we have every year the Trade Union Congress have a 2-day conference of LGBT representatives across all the unions who work together, pass motions, get people to recognize the need to recognize workers' rights and LGBT rights in the same breath, as it were. And that's a big step forward. So the Trade Union Council, this year is in Brighton in July. And it's crucial to actually get people's rights recognized within the workplace. And the unions now are doing that, which is phenomenal difference. And for what, it's us within the unions that have pushed them and got them to recognize that. So when you are part of a union, you are part of a democratic process that you can then push forward motions and get them to recognize your needs. And that's what we've done.
Great. Thank you so much, Sue. And last but not least, Ted. Looking back, what has changed for you and what hasn't when it comes to feeling visible and valued in society?
Well, the visibility has been mentioned before, and what I find now is that if the issue of LGBT rights comes up, no one is surprised in the way that they used to be. It used to be you have to have a battle in order to actually even raise the topic. But now we've managed to get a situation where most people are aware that LGBT rights is an issue. And not only that it's an issue, but it's one that they need to address as
Right.
well.
Mm-hmm.
I also am very impressed by the awareness of trans people, although most of that awareness is focused around attacks.
Mm-hmm.
If you look in the press, anytime trans people are mentioned, it's about
Mm-hmm.
how to it seems to be about oppressing them, about
Yes.
turning
Yeah.
them into the
Mm-hmm.
status that most LGBT people were back in the
Mm-hmm.
1950s and 60s.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And I think it's also a thin edge of the wedge that the people who want to attack trans people actually want to get the rest of us as well. And this is their opening.
Yes. Yes. Definitely. Yeah.
And
I
we
totally agree with that.
Yes, and unfortunately, there is an aspect of the LGBT queer community which actually is not as supportive of
Yes. Yes.
trans
Yeah.
people as we should
Yeah.
be.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
I think we really need to cohere together
Mm-hmm.
and regard ourselves as a group
Mm-hmm.
working together rather than isolating each other in different factions. Yes.
Trying to get that message out to our community, I find quite complex because I feel that, in society, sometimes people just want to hate and look down on others. And I think that's a huge problem we have in society. I think, when we come together, they don't really realize when we come together, we are stronger. And that goes for any community, whether it's a Muslim community, Jewish community, whatever marginalized community there is. If we came together, we would be stronger. And people just don't want to accept that or even realize that. So thank you so much, Ted. Now over to you, Daniel.
Thank you. Thank you very much, everyone. I think, the insights that you shared are so true. And I'm so glad that it's been brought up that about sadly, the divisions and the discrimination within the LGBTQ plus community. And we definitely need to do more to just stop that, and so, yeah, thank you. The question I have for the panel is about intersectionality and inequality. So reflecting about how factors like race and disability or class shape the experiences of aging in our community. And so as LGBTQ plus communities gain visibility and recognition, it's also important to understand how aging is experienced, especially from the perspectives of race and disability and class, because those factors can impact things like social inclusion or access to care, or well-being overall. And so the question I have for the panel is, what do you think are the particular groups of older LGBTQ plus people that you feel are still being overlooked or marginalized? And Crissie, would you like to start with that?
Yeah, I think one of the things that in fact, I should have really added this earlier to the section about what has changed and what hasn't. And I think one of the things that hasn't changed is our poverty. I think women's poverty is, it's huge, and it's particular in relation to mums, single mums or lesbian mums trying to raise children. We actually have a whole load less social power, than maybe say our brothers, our gay men who are raising children. The poverty that we face is often what prevents us from taking part in a whole set of things and getting what we're entitled to. And as we get older, as we are pensioners, we have even less financial independence. And I think that's, it comes back to what kind of a society do we want and how are we going to get it? Because the disparity has never been so large between the rich and the poor probably in history. I can't fathom what it means to be a billionaire and how much control that gives you over a whole set of things. And the fact that if you get ill as older people, as we do, there's just less around for us, and you sometimes feel that I mean, we had this wonderful thing, the NHS system, which has been steadily dismantled and privatized to the point that you can't even rely on going into hospital and coming out alive if you're older. And I'm not saying that I'm not saying that to terrify people. I'm saying it as a personal experience amongst friends of mine who've gone into hospital and have not survived. And that's really what we need to be looking at. Where is the money that we are creating that wealth? If they want to go and bomb Iran and all the rest of it, they have billions, but they can't look after us at the basic point in our lives where we need it. But I think something that did change is that if you are gay and lesbian or whatever, they don't look at you oddly, the staff, when you go in. If your partner, I was in hospital last year, and my partner was coming in every day, and she was not treated as somebody who's allowed anywhere near me. That wouldn't happen 20 years ago, 30 years ago. And also decisions would be made about your health without any kind of consultation. I think those things change. But we have a fight on our hands to keep that, to not have, the billionaire. I mean, a lot of people are calling them the Epstein class, the people who just think of us as being disposable and not having no value.
Yeah.
Particularly for young kids, suddenly we're at their disposal for anything to be done to us. But I think those things are, as you said earlier, coming together and the understanding people about how the genocide is there in our faces on the television sets, but the hidden one is what's happening to us in the care systems.
Yes.
Under COVID, they had that do not resuscitate thing.
Oh my God, yes.
And you knew, first of all, you knew who was doing all the work to keep people alive was Black and immigrant people.
Exactly.
But they were also dying. They were not getting the care that they need. So, the care is absolutely central, and it's part of our relationships with each other. We care about each other. We want each other to survive. And I think that, we have a fight to get the resources to do that, because there has been a steady privatization of everything we need, from the water to our ability to move around the country on trains and not have to, spend huge amounts of our pension. So there's a lot to take in, but there's also a lot I feel we can do. I don't think we are at a point of collapse, put it that way. I think we are at a point of understanding. We may not know what to do about it, but we've come to understand a certain level, of the brutality of government, rather than people in, who my mum's generation thought the government was there to help people. Now they know that this is really a very big piece of propaganda that's being exposed left, right, and center. So I don't know whether, sorry, I don't know whether I answered your question. I just
that was really great. Yeah, thank you.
That was great. It's so good to hear. It's heartbreaking, but we need to hear these stories.
Absolutely. Ted, I will ask the question to you as well. What do you think are the particular groups of older LGBTQ plus people that you feel are still being overlooked or marginalized?
People with disabilities, and they're not only marginalized by the heterosexual community, but also by the LGBT community in many ways, because if you suffer a disability in the queer community, your sexuality is completely overlooked and ignored. It's as though you're no longer a member of the community. And I think it's truly tragic, because being queer is not simply about who you go to bed with. It's there's a whole perspective that we have that we should share that isn't diminished or ruined simply because you can't walk or you have an educational problem. And I think we need to have a a different attitude towards people with disabilities. And in a way, that also translates into older people, because as you get older, you're considered disabled. And those two communities we need to do what the early Gay Liberation Front did, which is we're not going to be ignored. We're going to do this ourselves. And if there is an issue about people being overlooked as they get older or as they are disabled, disabled people and older people have got to make ourselves noticed and
Yes.
get ourselves on the agenda.
What do you think is a good way to make yourself notice?
Well, I think like visibility at Pride events, for example, would be um,
Do you think the younger generation should be doing more to help the elderly, our elderly brothers and sisters?
Oh, definitely, because if you think now of pride events or anything LGBT, in most people's eyes, these are about young people running up and down, not about people who are in relationships or who have had years and years of self-identification as LGBT. It's all sort of some kind of party or a disco or whatever's happening today, rather than looking at people having a lifestyle that has covered 50, 60, 70 years.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Thank you very much. Thank you, Ted. And Sue, what do you think are the particular groups of older LGBTQ plus people that you feel are still being overlooked or marginalized?
I would say that class and race is a crucial one. I mean, I'm very lucky. I'm white, I'm middle class. I've used my privilege all my life. I haven't had some of the issues that Crissie and Ted had to deal with because of my class and race. So I have used it to try and be visible and then make sure I'm opening the door for people behind me. But I think that's a crucial one. I think what Ted's point around disability is a crucial one. I think the thing that excites me is that we are getting smaller prides. I mean, I'm now living in Margate, and we have a brilliant pride there. And we also have a group that runs Margate Pride that makes sure that older people are involved, not only on Pride Day, but throughout the year. They run sessions for older people to meet and intergenerational people to meet. And I think, it's great to see that recognition. The interest in LGBT History Month is, I think, part of the fact of actually trying to get to know what people have done before. So I think it's making sure, and Ted's absolutely right, visibility is crucial. And I think we need to grab every way possible to make that visibility. And I think, Russell T Davies has done some great work on television. We need more people to write plays which show us and show us in our diversity. But I think Crissie's point about poverty is totally well made. I mean, I think, if you're poor and you're part of the queer group, then you're facing much more problematic difficulties because the resources just aren't there available to you. So poverty is a massive one that we have to tackle. And of course, interestingly enough, we're seen as the baby boomers, and there's a big backlash against us at the moment, saying that we've got it made. The youngsters are having a tough time. They're having a dreadful time. They've been treated appallingly. When I think, I had my education, my higher education free, they've had to pay for it and had to pay through the nose with the way things are going. They're not facing employment as I did when I first came out. It was very easy for me to get jobs. So we're all suffering. And I think it's classic that there's this attempt to pit against the younger generation against the older. And we have to challenge that and say, no, we're all facing difficulties here in this country. We're going to work together to challenge what is the perceived wisdom, so-called, of the way we're all treated. So I think, we've got to fight for the benefit system and make sure that it is supportive of everybody.
Yeah. Absolutely. Thank you very much. That's a really great point, Sue. Thank you. Kim. Oh, Kim, you're muted.
Oh, Kimberly,
No,
your
sound's
sound dropped. Hello?
Kim, we can't hear you. You're unmuted, but somehow we can't hear you. Shall I go ahead and ask the question? Okay, no worries. So
Could I
the
just
next
add
question really
something?
ties
Sorry,
in.
Daniel.
Yes.
Daniel.
Yes, go
Sorry,
ahead.
could I just add something? Because I think that the point that Sue made about us being pitted against each other,
Yeah.
is also what is happening, in relation to immigration. The
Yeah.
fact that people who are fleeing the wars and the terrible devastation, whether that's ecological or whatever, that are being created by Western governments and the military-industrial complex, are being pitted against us when they seek to come across in a flimsy boat to get safety and protection, and we're supposed to hate those people. That is that's the way that the government wants us to look at fellow human beings.
Mm-hmm.
And it is part of dehumanizing us as a society. And if you dehumanize one element of our society, it's pervasive. It's what happened under the Nazis my mum told me endless stories about how could people do that to each other? And that's where it starts, as if some certain people do not have a right to life. And we'll say here, now and forever, we all have a right to life. And that is why we all want to look out for each other, no matter what our background, where we've come from, how high up the tree we go. We have to take care of those of us at the bottom. And there's no question there. Otherwise, we have no future as a race, as a human race.
Yes, definitely. You can't hear me. Can you hear me now?
Yes.
We can hear you now, Kim. Yes, yes.
Right, you can hear me now. Sorry, I muted because Lula came in here and she started barking. So sorry about that. I actually locked her in the bed. I don't know how she got out. Okay. Ted, what would truly exclusive and affirming care look like in practice? What do we want to see in the future?
A world with fewer labels. One of the aspects of my relationship that I haven't mentioned at the moment was that I met my partner, Noel Glynn, who was white, in 1971 before I joined the Gay Liberation Front, and I was surprised at how much hostility there was within the queer community against people of mixed race and against Black people in particular. And I'm just hoping that we reach a stage where there is no need for any labels of any kind. And that one day the need to identify ourselves as queer or straight or even our nationalities should no longer matter, and that we should be being humans and regard ourselves as human beings.
I agree with you 100% there. Definitely. Yeah, that's something that hopefully one day, probably not in our lifetime, but hopefully one day we will get there because we all are just basically human. Thank you so much for that. And Sue, what would you like to see?
I would like to see a care system properly funded. I mean, it's interesting. My partner, Jean Nadeau, of I think we're coming up to 38 years together.
Wow, that's a blessing.
She was a social worker, and I mean, she's done many things like me. And at one point, she's always been saying to me that all the problems, so many of the problems that we have with the health service is the fact that we don't have a decent care system. So beds are absolutely taken up by people who could leave if there was a decent care system. So we need a decent care system, and no government seems to sort of be prepared to do that properly.
Right.
To have a decent care system, people have to be paid properly. And I think one of the biggies is the fact that we don't pay our nurses and doctors and our care workers sufficiently, care workers particularly. And I think, Crissie has made that point that we do not pay people properly for doing the work. I mean, people earn thousands upon thousands fiddling around with computers making money. And the people who sweep our streets, who look after people, who take care of people are paid a pittance. We've got the thing completely around the wrong way. We need to change you know,
Yeah.
our whole concept of
Yes.
if we're looking after human beings, surely
Yes.
that's more worthwhile than making
Yes.
oodles of money on the stock
Yeah.
exchange.
Yeah.
That needs to change.
Yeah.
So that we actually have people who are paid properly, who are
Mhm.
looked after properly,
Mhm.
then they can look after us properly. The
Right.
thing is that if we don't look after the people who are looking after us, we get
Mhm.
shitty service because they're being treated shittily. So
Mhm.
we have to look at the employment issues of the people who are doing the work first of all.
Right. Yeah.
And then we can have care homes, which actually are, to the proper name of them, they are careful and they are care homes.
Mhm.
And then we
Mhm.
can think about more effectively tackling racism, tackling homophobia, tackling misogyny, which is happening in our care homes. We know that. I mean, my mother was in a care home for a very long time,
Mhm.
and they were convinced that Jean and I were the only LGBT people coming into that home. Rubbish. Of course we weren't.
Mhm.
But Ted's point about not needing labels, I think we have to have labels first before we lose them. So we
Mhm.
have to get people to recognize our needs
Yes.
as
Yes.
Black people,
Yes.
as able-bodied, as
Uh-huh.
lesbian and gay, etc., and then we can move on. But I
Mhm.
think we've still got to do that work. But I
Right.
think the biggie is that there is some work being done to support elderly LGBT people, but they're
Mhm.
frequently not cheap. And so it's
Right.
only a
Yeah.
particular group of people who can access those specific LGBT spaces. So
Yes.
for me, it's basic. Let's
Mhm.
get the care system worked effectively,
Uh-huh.
funded effectively, and look
Mhm.
after the people who are looking after
Mhm.
us effectively
Mhm.
and properly.
Yeah, great. Thank you for that. It's really heartbreaking to hear, and I just hope the younger generation are really taking note of this conversation today, because God willing, we're all going to, become elderly. So, Crissie, what would you like to see in the future with affirming care?
Well, I'd begin by acknowledging who is doing the care work. And yes, there are a lot of badly waged people doing care work, but there's also a lot of us doing it unwaged. We're doing it, and we're always told we're doing it for love. And of course, but you can't live off love in
Yeah,
terms, you can't
yeah.
eat it.
Yes, yeah,
There's a whole set
definitely.
that we need to acknowledge. And it's not only the care work that we do for each other, our loved ones, sorry, it's broader than that. It's the care that we give to our friends who are
Yes,
going
yeah,
through a rough time.
yeah, yeah.
Care that we give to our communities, the care that we give to our animals, to our soil, to the planet. All of these things need to be recognized as absolutely essential to survive on this planet. And I would like to see that as long as we have to deal with money, which is controlling force, that we have that money and that the killers don't. If the carers have the money, we'll have another world. If the killers continue to keep it, they will kill the planet. But I am heartened by the fact that there are many examples that is being done that's not being it. Let me give you a really good example. Right now, you can't get fertilizer, we're told, because of the war in Iran and the stoppage of the fertilizers coming through the Hormuz Strait. Okay, in India, you have women in the state of Andhra Pradesh and other places who are growing enough food to feed their communities using a system called natural farming, which doesn't need 1 ounce of fertilizer of the kind that comes from the petrochemical industry. They use a natural fertilizer they create themselves from their animal dung and from the food waste. And they have transformed whole swathes of farming land that has been decimated by Monsanto's monocrop growth. This is the way of the future. This is something that the problems we always have is getting the rest of the world to see that anything good comes out of the third world.
Right.
They think that those of us who have harmony with the soil in Africa or Latin America, we're backward because we're not growing it the way, big agro business grows things.
Right.
And I think there's some really straightforward solutions there, but people don't know about them. And the propaganda is always the other way. We have to make money out of what we're doing. No, we don't. We have to make survival out of what we're doing.
Mm.
So there's seeds of hope for the future. We need to be planting them. And then I think we can really turn a whole set of things from climate crisis and a whole ways of supporting and sustaining healthily, because that's the other problem we've got with the food. A lot of it is not even, you shouldn't be calling it food. You know, it's chemicals. Whole swathe of America are living off food that is not sustainable and is killing them. So looking futuristically, I want to see an end to that, and I'm hoping that we can collectively work together to share these amazing experiences of how you can do things differently from your local community to your national to the global.
That is incredibly interesting.
That really is incredible. Now you're calling it natural fertilization?
Natural farming. It's a method of
Thank you very much. That's incredibly
regenerating soil.
interesting.
That is amazing. And you know, we should follow the third
send
world
you info.
countries. Yes, please.
Yeah.
Sorry. Over to Daniel. Sorry, Daniel.
That's okay. I've got the last question. I'm conscious of time as well, but it's been so incredibly interesting to listen to.
It's really interesting. Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. So the last question that I have for the panel is about legacy and activism and moving forward. So as we know, the history of LGBTQ plus activism is well rooted in resilience and collective action. And as the newer generation continue the work on equality and inclusion, reflecting on the past struggles and achievements is a very valuable guidance. So we want to reflect on the lessons and on the values that should be carried forward to shape a more inclusive future. So the question to the panel is, what do you think are the lessons from your activisms that younger generations should carry forward? Sue, would you like to start with this one?
Well, thank you. I think the big one is try and avoid being a victim. You know, there's a lot of victim. People often work from victim. When we started LGBT History Month, we really wanted to start from celebration. There is a lot to celebrate about, and I think if we can move from that victim place, it often is not a healthy place, because it often encourages you to look down on other people and try and find somebody who's worse off than you to make you feel better. If we can start from a place of celebration and strength, even though we're being oppressed, we have plenty to be proud about. So we have the word pride. Let's use it effectively. So be proud. Discover the things that you need to be proud about. And the other biggie, I would say, that is crucial in activism is network. Network like crazy. Make sure that you link up to people. It was one of the exciting things about the Lesbian Visibility Week. People were talking to each other, exchanging phone numbers, making sure that they could talk and find and link it with each other. It's been crucial for me throughout my life. I mean, being in the theatre for a while, the saying was, it's not what you know, it's who you know. And it is so true. If you keep in touch with people, they get into a different job, they can bring you in, they have more knowledge. Share your knowledge, share your resources with each other. That is such a powerful thing we can do as a community. We are diverse, we are amazing, and we can share each enormous amount of resources and ideas together. It's back to what we were saying earlier, you know, together we are stronger, and networking is a powerful way to make us stronger.
Well said, Sue. Thank you for that.
Thank you very much. And we will be moving to shortly to the closing remarks. But before we do that, Crissie, what do you think are the lessons from your past activism that younger generations should carry forward?
I think the lessons of our activism are that we should listen. We should listen to what the young people have to say, and we should be conscious of where we made our mistakes. Who was it that was inside of our movements that contributed to us not doing as much as we might have done? You know, who was there with another agenda to disrupt our movements? Because that is true. That is true now too in the movements. You know, protesters are under a massive amount of criminalization, which we didn't face in quite the same way. but we should listen to what they want to do and be that point of reference for their movements moving forward, and not being undermined or destroyed or taken over by the ambitious, the personally ambitious. I mean, we were talking about, the backlash against trans people. Some of that is coming from the feminists, for goodness sake, people who are supposed to, who should know better than to be doing that. And so you always have to ask, well, what is their motive? Why are they doing that? And I think that's what I've learned, is to ask, is what you're doing building the movement or building yourself? Are you more interested in your personal ambition, or are you interested in lifting everybody up? And I think if you can share that with young people, and that they can and they know an awful lot. So that's why I'm saying it's a two-way street.
Yes.
I'm so glad that you bring that up, because
Yes.
it's so true. We the more we focus on, going against each other, the further away we get from the overall goal. And so, that I'm so glad that you bring that up.
Yeah, thank you for that, Crissie.
Yes, thank you. Absolutely. Ted, what about you? What do you think? What do you think are the lessons from your past activism that younger generations should carry forward?
Well, one of the benefits of the Gay Liberation Front was that it wasn't just a rearguard action. I think there was a lot of positivity. And as a Black person, I remember that there was a great change in attitudes amongst ourselves when we started to look at, we are not just fighting against racism, we are fighting for our community.
Yeah.
When you do that, you look at the benefits and the virtues of your communities, and you're able to emphasize them. You're able to move forward in a positive manner rather than just fighting a rearguard action. So that's one of the great benefits of the Gay Liberation Front and the Black Panthers, groups like that. They weren't just, as I said, fighting a rearguard action against racism or homophobia. They were saying, we are wonderful people, and we're going to be even more wonderful in the future.
I love that. I love that. Yeah, I love that. I always talk about, how Martin Luther King, who was obviously the instrumental to civil rights. I always tell people that he wasn't just fighting for the Black community. He was fighting for marginalized communities, and that even included white heterosexual cis women. So thank you for that, Ted. Thank you.
Absolutely, yes. Thank you very much. Thank you to all of the panelists. We are coming to the closing remarks. So I think that today's discussion has been so meaningful, so great, and I want to thank our panelists for sharing your insights and your honesty, and hearing from your lived experiences really made this conversation special. I think that we learned from what we learned today is a reminder also that visibility isn't something that is necessarily guaranteed in our journey, and also that history and resilience and community are really powerful forces for the legacy of marginalized community as we move forward, and also of the voices that aren't always heard. So
definitely.
Absolutely.
Definitely.
And today's panel was still here, still proud, and I think that that's that's not just a statement. That's a message to ensure that no one is left behind, and that our communities continue to move forward. So thank you, everyone, for being part of this. Kim, what would you like to add to that?
Yeah, I'm just gonna say, I just want to say thank you. I've really I like to learn, and today I've learned a lot, so I can't thank you enough. But before we go, Sue had a few words she wanted to say about the Section 28 that is happening.
That's very kind of you, Kim.
Yeah.
Sarah Drummond is doing a film about Section 28, and there's also, and I've put in the chat, a petition that we're putting around to challenge the government to set up an inquiry into the harm that Section 28 did. And I think this is a really powerful, I doubt that we'll get it, given where the money is at the moment, but it is raising the issue, I think, and getting people to recognize that we had 15 years of horrendousment and prejudice, which meant we had an enormous amount of homophobic hate crime, which we're still dealing with now. So I think it's a great idea that she's also offering us the chance to write to Section 28 and say what it felt like to have to be there, whether you were there or not. But it's I think it's a really great idea, and it's also linking it up to the where we're dealing with now, because so many trans people are saying it feels like it's Section 28 all over again. And I have to say that I can agree totally. So it's a chance to look at the past and the effect, and also get us up to date to thinking about how do we fight it now. So I think it's a great thing. It's in the chat, the petition, and there's plenty of information on LinkedIn and various other places. So if you can't find it, come back to me and I'll link you up. But thank you so much, Daniel and Kim and Crissie and Ted. It's been an honor to be with you all and to hear all your thoughts.
A huge honor. It's been a beautiful panel, and I'm so grateful for each and every one of you. And I hope to be working with you on something else soon. Because this is, I think, this conversation can go on and on and on. There's just so much to learn, and I think the younger generation needs to hear these stories. So, thank you.
And as Crissie said, we need to hear from them too.
Good point. Good point. Good point.
Suggest we have a small addition.
Yeah,
that we are still here, still proud.
Yes.
And looking forward.
Yes.
absolutely, absolutely.
And looking
100%.
good, I might add as well. Thank you guys.
Thank you very much. Crissie, did you want to add something before we close?
Just one thing. The only struggle we lose is the one we give up. That is that's what we inherited from the mothers of the disappeared in Argentina.
Yes.
As long as we continue, we can't lose.
I like that. That's a great quote. That's a great quote. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Thank you, everyone. And also thank you to Michelle for providing BSL for us today.
Yes. Thank you, Michelle.
Okay,
Great.
I will stop recording now.
Wow. That was so good. I just having loads of ideas going through my head, because these stories need to be heard more and more and more. And like you said, I think it was Sue who said we need to hear it from the younger ones as well.
Well, no, Crissie said it first, so
Crissie said it. Oh, sorry, my mistake. I knew